Hey everyone! As you can see from the title of this video, I am going to be talking about why I have almost completely stopped shopping. My intention for this video is to spark a sense of curiosity about living habits. At the end of last year, I was really becoming more curious about my personal habits, and I was thinking a lot more about the material items that I have, specifically the clothing that I have. Interestingly, at the end of last year, an article came into my life all about why the writer stopped shopping for a year. I'm gonna link that article down below because it was a really interesting piece, and it made me wonder, well, what would it be like if I kind of tailored this to my own experience and just tried it out. Another thing that kind of got me started on this journey was hearing that the fashion industry is the second most wasteful industry right behind oil. So when I knew that I was going to be fully focused on clothing, then I thought about, okay, what are my rules? I didn't want to just tell myself I'm not gonna buy anything at all because that seemed like a punishment to me. If I bought clothing, it would be for one of these reasons. I needed something because of a weather condition. If I needed new underwear, because sometimes my period ruins underwear unexpectedly, I would let myself get underwear. If there was a fancy event that I was going to and I needed something to wear, I would allow myself to buy it. And what I found that I did was I rented clothing. I used Rent the Runway, and that was a really great experience for me. What if something that I'm using falls apart? And I didn't think this was gonna happen, but it actually happened twice, both with shoes. I'm in a position where I will receive gifts from brands, and over the last year, I have been really mindful about what I say yes to. I would say the vast majority of the time, I say no when it comes to receiving gifts. If I'm genuinely not interested in it, or there isn't an item that I feel like I'm missing in my wardrobe or I would really enjoy, I just say no to it. Space for a pleasure item. So this was something that I really wanted to allow myself because shopping is something that I do find fun sometimes, and I didn't want to take the pleasure out of the experience. What I told myself is that I was allowed to purchase out of pleasure, but it had to be something that I was thinking about for 6 months or more. This would be something that I would be going into my closet and thinking, oh, I feel like I'm missing that over and over and over and over and over. So I know that it's not just a phase that I'm going through, but it's something that I'm noticing I keep wanting. Once these rules were in place and I started living by them, I started noticing the circumstances in which I would feel an urge to shop. And there were 3 main things that kept popping up over and over: boredom, loneliness, and pressure. I started to notice that a lot of times I was using shopping as a coping mechanism for uncomfortable feelings that I had. First thing, which really came with a big punch, was loneliness. And I think that is something that so many of us feel more often than maybe we would like to admit, especially when we live in this world that is hyper connected, but in so many ways that connectivity can make us feel isolated. Before I entered into this personal experiment, I probably would have said, no, I don't feel lonely, maybe like a little bit, but not really. But this really highlighted, oh, I actually feel lonely more than I actually thought I did. I had to figure out how to navigate it. And so what I started doing was just letting myself feel that. I just let myself feel lonely. There's so much shame in feeling lonely because it makes you feel like no one loves you, that you don't have any friends, that no one cares, and you could just spiral down into a deep hole, which I've definitely been in for sure. An example of combating loneliness for me, a big factor is just getting out of the house. So instead of shopping, I decided to spend my money on experiences. Searching for experiences whenever I feel lonely has been such a valuable thing for me to learn. When I feel that sense of loneliness, I know, okay, there's an experience out there that I can have, and I can have it with someone else, even if it means just picking up the phone and like FaceTiming with someone or talking to them on the phone. The next thing is pressure. Specifically all centered around social media, whether it's seeing highly curated photos on Instagram or seeing hauls on YouTube. This has all contributed to a pressure that I have felt to keep up, whether it's like keeping up with trends or seeing people have all of these beautiful things and thinking, well, to feel worthy and beautiful and like a badass boss, I need to have that clothing or I need to have that bag. Let me think more about the purchases that I was making, and it also made me think about how I myself have contributed to this whole ecosystem that has really changed in the last decade, and I've also contributed to that. So that kind of acknowledgement and I think acceptance of responsibility is just one, a sign of growing up, and two, this desire in myself to just really want to understand who I am. I want the things that I have in my life to be reflections of me, not the other way around. And the last thing is boredom, which kind of seems like a no-brainer, but it is really interesting to experience that and let yourself feel boredom when we all so often feel like we're living these really busy lives. You might think, oh, I don't have time to be bored. But in reality, I realized, oh yeah, I'm bored. I was just not feeling it. I've learned that boredom is something that I need to feel. Curiosity was the cure for boredom. Follow the breadcrumbs and let your curiosity lead the way. I have learned so much through this experience. I feel like I could just sit here for hours and talk about all the things that I've learned. But if I had to highlight some things, it would definitely be, this is something that has really happened over time for me. It's not something that just changed overnight, but I think as I look into the past couple of years, it's really apparent to me that things have shifted. I am not doing hauls like I used to. I have been a lot more interested in secondhand purchases. I am doing videos where I'm restyling items that I've had for years. I'm making videos about how to keep items in your wardrobe for a long time. A major thing that I have learned through this experience is how much time opened up. Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you. Like, it is shocking how much time I would spend shopping. For example, say there's an event coming up. In the past, I would have told myself, okay, there's an event coming up, this warrants a whole new outfit. And I would literally just spend so much time looking at things online or going to different stores, trying things on. And when you add up all of that time, it ends up being a really large amount of time. Through shopping less, I have enjoyed my wardrobe way more. I'm keeping more things in my wardrobe longer. Now I'm in a place where I can look at quite a few things in my wardrobe and I'm like, whoa, I've had that for 5 years, I've had that for 7 years, and I still really like it. And what's been so cool is that these pieces stay the same, but the way that I'm wearing them changes. And I just never really thought that that was possible. I always thought, oh, I'm just gonna wear it the exact same way, and that has not been the case. I found different ways to style these pieces and wear them and love them all over again. When I try to look at the bigger picture, especially when it comes to the environment and sustainability, it can be really overwhelming and just daunting, and that's when I start spiraling into like self-hatred because I'm like, well, what the hell can I possibly do? What has been helpful for me is following the curiosity that I have and not punishing myself and allowing myself to learn through different experiences on a smaller level. And I really, really think the reason why I have this continued curiosity and I just keep like following these breadcrumbs is because I'm not punishing myself. I think that's such a huge thing. We as human beings punish ourselves so much for things that we really don't need to be punished for because it's counterproductive. And I don't want my life to not be a joyful experience. There have been moments that have been really hard that have made me reflect on my past habits and things that I don't want to repeat in the future. I'm just really looking forward to learning more and seeing where all of this takes me without having such like a rigid like box around me, just like letting it go in the natural direction that it wants to be going. And that feels really good.